everyone. My name is Anna. I have been invited by Tara to be a guest interviewer for this channeling today. We are going to be channeling twin flames. I'm very excited. I have a lot of questions on this topic and not really sure what we're going to connect to or who we're going to connect to, but yeah, very open to receiving information from whoever decides to come in. So yeah, we'll just give Tara a moment to connect and wait until she's ready.
Okay.
Okay, hi. Can you please introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and maybe why you've decided to come forward to talk to us about this topic?
Yes. Lata, you might say that we are from your 11th dimension. And as we see things more in multitudes rather than singular, so we would like to speak upon your topic.
So when you say we, are you speaking as a collective?
Yes, we are not singular as you might consider yourself. Although you might understand that there is a collective consciousness, an energetic collection of energies, yourself included and connected to the all. However, in our home, our dimension, we are not quite like you are in the third, so separated, so divided, so singular in thought. We are one. We move as one. We think as one. We are all.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so can we just first start off with, could you give us maybe, if possible, a brief description of what twin flames are so that we can understand that, at least here on Earth, what we understand twin flames to be?
Yes, we understand that for the most part, when there are those that speak of twin flames, they think that it is their partner. They must have this partner for life, when in actuality, it is really of the same being, the same soul. So, taking us for example, we think as one. Let's say, for you, example, you do have twin flame, but not in the same area in which you live. So you would have your singular soul, a piece of the whole, coming to this plane of existence, the third dimension. You would like to learn in a particular way, perhaps not on a singular journey, but more of one of juxtaposition and light and dark and bouncing off one another if you were to be in each other's sphere. So you would have something more like twin soul. You would split your soul into half, but there are more than one twin, so this does not make it twin. Sometimes there are those that split their soul into threes and fours and fives. And not every vessel has just a singular soul within it. Sometimes there are piggybacks and other souls that ride along in your life's journey. They would like to learn as well. And it is a way of learning at a quicker rate, although we may say that time does not exist. But if there's a particular mission in mind and there is something that you would like to get to next and you would rather not have a singular journey, then you would split your soul in half and you would have it inhabit two vessels or possibly more. But we will stick with the twin flames, the two vessels. However, in the two vessels, these two beings, although the same soul they would be light and dark. They would be opposites. They would be juxtapositions of each other.
Interesting. Okay, as far as I'm interpreting things, the purpose of twin flame connections, at least here on Earth, is to experience more or to like achieve a mission faster or more efficiently or something because we have more incarnations working at the same time, like experience many things at the same time. Is that true?
Yes, efficiency. So let's say, for example, you would like to understand what it is like to be female in this lifetime with this dimension of gender. You would like to be female. You would like to pursue a particular theme in your life. Perhaps you want to know what it is like to be of extreme service to others, what it is like to be in the light. Yet you also want to understand what it is like to be of the opposite. Perhaps you would like to be service to self as well. You would like to understand what the negative polarity understands. And really, what this is for are those who are on an ascension process. This is neither good nor bad, but it is a choice to be on ascension or descension. It is up to you. But for those who would like to exit this realm and perhaps not reincarnate in this realm, then they would need to understand what it is to be all, not just light, but they must also understand dark. They must understand pain, but they must also understand joy. And so it would be very difficult to be both in one body. So why not be two different people experiencing one light, one dark? Perhaps sometimes these two will come together and they might find it rather difficult, but the difficulty is in bouncing each other's light and darkness off one another in order to expand one's consciousness and to learn and to heal and to grow. But not always is this a friendship type connection or a romantic connection. Sometimes the soul is not in a human at all, but it might be within a plant, it might be within an animal, it might be within anything. But it is how they choose to experience opposites, so that when their vessels are shed, they come together as one once again, and they exit this realm.
Oh, cool. Okay, so is it safe to say that all souls on Earth who do have twin flames or are twin flames they're all either on an ascension or descension path, and we're basically like trying to get the work done as fast as possible? Is that true, or are there other reasons?
That is correct. Although there might be what you might see layers and layers of mission and accomplishment, the ultimate mission would be ascension if you are to proceed in a multitude of vessels.
I see. Okay, so oftentimes when us humans discuss twin flames, it's about a human romantic connection. So from what you're telling me, I'm understanding that it doesn't have to be human necessarily. It doesn't have to be romantic, and it can be more than two souls involved. And we don't really even have to meet necessarily. It's true that twin flames don't have to meet necessarily.
Yes, and I mentioned you earlier that you do have a twin flame, but it is not in the place in which you reside. And this does not mean that you need to go in search of this person. In fact, the mission is not to seek out your other portion of yourself, but in having the faith, so to speak, that the other portion of yourself, the other portion of your soul, will complete its mission just as you will try and complete yours.
Okay, I see. So, okay, there's other concepts that we often hear discussed in regards to twin flames. And now, at first, I thought they were very important, but now I'm not so sure. For example, especially in what we consider romantic twin flame connections, there's often like this separation where they meet and it's all exciting, and then they separate. Is the separation aspect of a twin flame connection important, or is that just sometimes?
It is sometimes, but if we were to give a statistic to it, we would say that roughly 90% of the time there is a gap with these twin flame connections in the romantic sense that you speak of. So they might come together. It might be quite exhilarating because you recognize yourself in the other. Although this may not be at a conscious level, you just understand that this is somehow familiar. Somehow you feel connected to this person or being, but you don't quite understand why. But you may also understand that you are quite opposite. And yet, in your realm of existence, you say that opposites attract. And yes, this is so some of the time. And so they come together and they are healing one another just by being themselves, because inadvertently they will trigger one another because they are opposites. And so there is great healing to be had. And once there's a need for integration, the two will separate, perhaps coming back together later or perhaps not at all. But remember that they need not come together in the first place, but some choose to do this, and that is quite all right.
Interesting. This is slightly off topic, but is what you were just talking about, like about us or certain twin flames being opposites and then integrating all their experiences? Is that how you the group of so the beings that I'm connecting with right now, is that how you experience life, like in your collective, that you integrate all your experiences together and share them?
Yes, I would like to reference your pop culture in your realm. Perhaps many will understand this, although this is more from a negative point of view. You have something that you watch for entertainment, and in this entertainment you speak of a collective of beings, and these beings are within a cube, and they all think as one, they speak as one. But in this entertainment that you watch, they are of a negative species. They seek to assimilate all and destroy. We do not seek to assimilate. We do not seek to gather more into our dimension, but more rather speak as one and think as one. And as I feel something perhaps on an individual level, it is also felt by the all. It is rather difficult to explain, as we are not a singular consciousness in individuality, but more in a collective consciousness. However, we do feel things individually. We do have individual thoughts, but it is shared by all. And so this is something that would be quite similar to twin flame connection, but on a more tangible, separate level.
Interesting. Okay, well, those are all of my questions. Is there anything else you would like to say, or any other message you have to end this conversation?
Yes, we understand that this is a topic of interest in the third dimension, a sort of finding oneself. And it is true that if you were to find your twin flame, perhaps you found it in a tree, perhaps you found it in your pet or in your best friend, so on and so forth. That it does feel as if you are searching for a portion of yourself. And yes, in this earth walk that you are doing, you are in search of understanding yourself and in growing. And so in that pursuit, it would be almost inevitable that you might happen upon this other portion of yourself. And remember that they are just a mirror, like everything else outside of the self. They are just a reflection of you, a portion of you. But as you are now, you are an individual. You are on your own mission. You do not need something outside of yourself to complete yourself. And I know this might not make sense, as your soul has been split. It is in different vessels. But this doesn't mean that if you don't get with this other portion of yourself, that your soul is lost forever. You know that things are eternal. And so once this vessel is shed, you will go back to the collective consciousness as you have always been, and you have never been disconnected.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming, and yeah.
Oh, hey.
How do you feel?
Whoa, that felt kind of weird. It was like I don't know, that being, it felt like they were, gosh, how would I describe it? A pile of noodles?
Interesting.
Like
Could you see them? Like, did you have any visuals?
Yeah, at first it looked like, well, it was all light. Like that whole realm just felt like this vibrating light, and it was like floating like a jellyfish, but if it were all noodles, I didn't really get it. It was like light noodles, and it's like this thing is there, but it's like a lot of things. It's like a lot of noodles.
Yeah. No, when they were just describing the whole collective versus individual thing, I was like, oh, I kind of get what you're saying, but like, I think I'm gonna have to watch it back a few times.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to watch it back. I mean, I'm gonna edit it too, and like, you know, rewatch it a few times. But from what I got, it seemed like they were, I don't know, they felt like positive polarity, although it didn't really feel like they had polarity at all in their realm. It's like they were just doing their own thing, but they didn't really want to bother anyone else. But it's like if they had expertise, it's like, hey, we'll come in and give it out, but it's like we're not trying to like get people to think like we think, or you know, because we're just our own our own light spaghettis, or you know.
That was really interesting though.
What I remember is that they mentioned that twin flames are not always human.
Right. Yeah, they said it could be a plant or something.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, so, you know, like, there could be twin flames, like, it's the tree in your front yard or something like that. That's...
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then honestly, it kind of makes sense because, you know, from people who talk about this topic and whatnot, like, I've heard people mention, like, oh, yeah, you know, like, you can have simultaneous incarnations on different planets and blah, blah, blah. And so I guess it's just... It's like twin flames is just the concept of having simultaneous incarnations, you know, like we've hyped it up to be this whole like romantic thing and like, you know, telepathic connection, and they're kind of like, well, yeah, I guess maybe like sometimes, but it doesn't need to be that. So it made sense, but it put things in perspective. I think it like simplified things, at least for me, like how I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, because like you're saying, you know, we're, you know, everything's happening at the same time, so there's like an infinite number of timelines, you know, that we're having right now, you know, and you know, of this form that we're in, but we're also like in different dimensions, and you know, our soul is all over the place. You know, so like the twin flame connection, it's just that it's what's going on in other dimensions just happens to be a portion of you that's also happening right here, but just in a different vessel. And I think that, you know, we're human beings, so we like to romanticize things, you know. It's like, you know, I found my twin flame. Really, it's like I just found another portion of myself that's also on, you know, its mission. And yeah, sure, you know, I know a lot of people like twin flames that come together, and you know, and I've spoken when James and I were dating, that, you know, I truly believe we are twin flames, but it doesn't necessarily mean like we had to stay together. But you know, I understand what the being was saying, you know, about really pushing each other to heal, because it's like so polar opposite. Like, it was ridiculous how opposite we were, but it really triggered a lot of healing, and I think that that's fantastic. But I also think that, you know, what the being was saying, you don't always necessarily have to come together either, because they're gonna do what they need to do to accomplish their mission. I'm gonna do what I need to do, and that's fascinating.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because, like, well, first of all, the being you were connecting with, like, mentioned my twin flame twice, and I think I know who my twin flame is. At least I'm very sure. But now after this conversation, I'm like, what if it's someone completely different? But oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? I completely forgot. It's okay. Anyway, but yeah, like the whole polarity thing.